Bernie Sanders is pushing hard here. Then Trump's secretary takes the entire argument in a different direction.
Biden signed the Butch Lewis Act that prevented the earned pension benefits of some 2 million union workers and retirees from being cut by up to 65%. There are people in Congress who want to undo that enormously important legislation. What do you feel about the Butch Lewis Act?
I support the Butch Lewis Act in protecting their retirements.
And you will go to the wall, to go to the mat supporting it?
I do support protecting people's retirements.
Federal minimum wage is 7.25. State after state has voted to raise the minimum wage. Somehow we can't do it here in Washington. 20 million workers are making less than $15 an hour. Do you support raising the minimum wage to a living wage?
Ranking Member Sanders, you know that that is an issue for Congress to determine and raising the minimum wage. As the Secretary of Labor, I cannot weigh in on that. That's determined by Congress. If they want to negotiate that, I will fully and fairly enforce the law as a Labor Secretary, if you all so choose, and give you whatever data possible to make that decision as members of Congress.
Well, I understand that Congress makes the law, but you have an opinion, and you will be the leading advocate for workers if you are confirmed. Question, if you were sitting where I'm sitting, would you vote to raise the minimum wage to a living wage?
Well, I'm not sitting where you're sitting hypothetically. I used to, but not any longer. But I do recognize that the minimum wage hasn't been raised since 2009, and the cost of living has gone up. But again, I cannot sit here and determine what that wage will be fully and fairly. I will enforce the law, but it will be up to Congress to determine, because that is not in the purview of the Secretary of Labor.
I want you guys to pay attention to how these things are structured generally, right? So when the opposition or the opposing side of whatever argument that's currently being spoken about, right, is speaking, look at how things are framed here. Trump's secretary here is delivering nothing more than the facts. And Bernie Sanders is coming back with, if you don't agree with this, you are inherently, morally, ethically, an absolutely terrible person. Please give me your opinion of something you can't change. This is not relevant. It's just not relevant at all here. She has no ability to decide what the federal minimum wage is going to be here at all. But we'll talk more on that later.
For instance, in Oregon, I know that in Portland, Oregon, that the minimum wage is almost $16 an hour, and that might work for Portland, but that's not going to work for Grants Pass, Oregon. And I know that local communities, states determine what's best for their economy. What we don't want to do is shock the economy. But again, sitting here today, I cannot determine as Secretary of Labor if it should be.
Michelle Vesderima, in his second week in office, President Trump fired Gwynne Wilcox, a member of the National Labor Relations Board, leaving the NLRB without a quorum. And what that means right now, that if workers form a union, vote to form a union, and the company says, well, I think that was illegal, it's unfair, you can slow up the process because there's nobody to go to. Do you believe that the firing of Ms. Wilcox was illegal? Which I do.
President Trump has a right to exercise his executive power, how he sees in consultation with.
Are you concerned that we do
team.
not have a functioning NLRB right now?
The NLRB is separate from the Department of Labor, but I do believe that the function of the NLRB is important, and I will always take that into consideration doing my job.
Are you concerned that we do not have a functioning NLRB now?
Well, again, I have not been read in with President Trump, but he has a right to exercise his executive power, and I do believe the NLRB has an important role.
I definitely like the idea of people getting more money. Understand how like supply and demand works generally. Okay, so let's say you double your income in one day. What do you think happens around your town? Now everyone has more money to spend here and more chances to run the prices of everything else up here. Imagine what it would be like when everyone around you immediately has more money, right? Like, I mean, our system is basically made off of the haves and have-nots, and that's, take it how you want to take that there, guys, but that's our system here. So if you double your income in 1 month by a bill that basically Congress passes kind of by default, do you think your rent is going to be the same by the time it's time to renew your rent, guys? Like, do you think that's going to happen here? Everything is going to get more expensive because now everyone has more money, and more the companies or corporations are going to be like, hey, my client base now has more money. Let's go ahead and sell more to them. Right? And raise the prices of everything, because listen, if these companies have to pay you more money, right, for the same level of work you were doing when you were being paid half of it, let's say, Do you not suspect that the companies are going to have to raise the prices of every single thing in their store? Like, understand, I want people to make more money, right? But I'm not sure it is based off of minimum wage jobs, guys, because minimum wage jobs are starter jobs. You're not meant to stay there indefinitely. But yes, I am fully aware that in certain places around the United States of America, there are adults working in minimum wage jobs, right? But you have to understand this. Historically, these minimum wage jobs have been for like the teenagers, et cetera, to get their first, bit of work experience. And then move on to something that actually will pay them more money. It just always seems whenever the modern left speaks, they tend to almost completely disregard the fact that you need something to not be easy in someone's life. So they have something to push for or push towards so they can reach some type of success that then will kind of by default benefit the entirety of the country because they themselves are successful, right? And that's my issue when it comes down to overall entitlements. Generally, you can't make life 100% easy for everyone, bro. Okay, you can't. If you do that, you weaken everyone. I'm sure everyone has heard the overall talking point that you're poor and then you get rich. Okay, you have the work ethic that brought you to where you were, right? And then you give your money when you die, let's say, to the next generation, and they completely blow it. Why? And they end up broke in like 7 months. Why is it that happened here? They didn't work for it. They never worked for it. They never had anything that basically pushed them forward because every single thing in their life was easy. It was taken care of by someone else. Right? I mean, that's just kind of my thing here, bro. Like, I want people to make more money, but I also do not want real estate prices to completely shoot through the roof. I mean, don't get me wrong here. For selfish reasons, I would love for real estate prices to shoot through the roof, but that's not the common typical experience in the United States of America. The average person does not need that to happen. So why would I selfishly say, go for it, right? Raise the property value of land, raise the value of every single thing, every asset out there, right? Because now more people have more money. And if you think that your rent is going to be the same next year when it's time to renew your lease, you're crazy, right? Because now that person over there is saying, hey, listen, I always liked that place. I know you were living in it, but I have extra money. This extra money I can then offer to your landlord. Okay. And if you can't pay whatever that other person is going to pay because now they have extra money, you're out. All right. You're out. You're shooting yourself in the foot, basically. That's a weird saying, right? But that's what you're doing by fighting for something like this instead of fighting for yourself, right? Like making yourself more marketable so the marketplace dictates that you're now worth more money. Okay. I think that is probably the way to go, more so than fighting for what is basically nothing more than a handout. I get it. Things are getting more expensive. That's because there are more people making a lot more money nowadays, guys. I'm telling you, all right? Like there are ways now to make money that absolutely dwarfs by far what our parents were making. Okay, so that's kind of where we are in this society. And understand, you're also fighting against those people who are making like yearly salaries monthly. Okay. The moral of my story here is, guys, work hard until you are absolutely recognized for your value. And then the marketplace will dictate that you are now worth X amount of dollars, instead of telling people, hey, fight for the idea of a mandated higher, federal minimum wage. That's going to absolutely crush somebody's mom and pop businesses. How am I going to hire more people? I'm now basically paying for 2 people and getting the same level of work. I'm not making more product. You know what I'm not selling more product. I'm selling the exact same, but instead I'm losing more money. That doesn't make any sense, guys. All right. But I do want people to make more money. So that's the conundrum. Right. But I want them to make it by telling the market, by showing the market that they're valued at whatever the price that they're asking for. That's what I want. But either way, listen, you guys have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. And in the meantime, I'll catch you guys later.